buddhi vinashaya, Deepam Jyoti Namastute. Salutation of light, which brings auspiciousness, prosperity, good health, abundance of money and wealth, and destruction of enemies' intellect. The price of success is hard work. Dedication to the work at hand. The determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the best of ourselves to the task at hand. Now, it is my duty lies in introducing the revered luminaries. Today, we are fortunate enough to have Mr. Ashok Kumar Behra, Amir, with us with the capacity of chief guest of the program. Sir has more than 3 decades of experience in manufacturing and service industry, and currently he is the Vice President and Head of Corporate Affairs and Legal at India's Metals and Ferroalloys Alliance Ltd. He is a mechanical engineer from Veer Surendra Sai University of Technology, Bulla. Mr. Behra also holds an MBA degree from Xavier Institute of Management, Bhubaneswar. He is trained abroad to be a power plant engineer. During the course of his professional journey, he has worked in leadership positions in diverse projects, apart from commercial and general management. He is an authority on lightweight aggregates and eco-friendly products made from fly ash for sustainable construction. He is credited for his BIS certification and infusion in GST. He is an executive member of Utkal Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Indian Chamber of Commerce, Regional Council member of PII, member of Central FICCI Mining Committee. Welcome, sir, to this program.
Thank you.
I'm equally honored to announce that we do also have Dr. Nowar as a guest of honor. Revered ma'am is currently known as the Assistant Professor in Economics and Business Administration at DAV University of India, having 7 years of teaching experience. She has pursued her PhD in 2018 on the topic Effects of Concessional Loan on Egypt's GDP growth. Ma'am is also having research expertise in the areas of local economic development, small and medium enterprises development, poverty inequalities, industrialization in emerging markets, impact of aid to the developing world. Achievement doesn't end here. She has also acted as an active speaker in several TV shows, explaining the audience to the main economic issues and challenges Egypt is facing. Also presented a policy paper related to economic issues like Egypt foreign debt, suggestions to deal with increasing inflation rates to the Vice President of Economic Committee of the Future of Nations Political Party. Ma'am, it is a great honor to you have in this webinar. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mahir. It's my pleasure to be here again with you.
We have with us Shri Madan Mohan Panda, President of DAV School of Business Management and the Chairman of DAV Unit 8, DAV Chandrasekharpur, DAV Pokharipur. He is also the head of Chief Minister Office, Special Secretary from 1996 to 1999. Under his dynamic leadership and able guidance, the DAV Group has emerged a unique brand in the field of education, both at state and national level. Welcome, sir, to this program. We do also have a sparkling model of amplifying spirit and affirming inspiration who has been nurturing the young talent since long. He is none other than Sri Bipin Kumar Sahu, the principal of DAV Kalinganagar, as a special invitee. Welcome, sir, to this program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm also glad to announce that today we have with us Sri Niranjan Swami, the principal of Allied DAV Public School, Cuttack, as a special invitee. Welcome, sir, to this program. I'm also privileged to declare that we do have the principal of DSCM, Dr. D.N. Mishra, among us. In this webinar, he handles the capacity of moderators in order to carry out the knowledge sharing session along with the revered experts. Welcome, sir, to this program.
Thank you, Jayasree.
I'm also delighted to announce today we have with us Dr. Manas Ranjan Das Mishra, Senior Lecturer in Economics of Bapuji College, Chandipada, Anugul, as a special invitee. Welcome, sir, to this program. I'm also glad to announce today we have eminent and dedicated faculty members of leading CBSE schools as a special invitee, like Mrs. Elora Patnaik, PGT in Economics, BJEM School, Dr. Pooja P. Das Mishra, PGT in Economics, DAV Public School, Chandrasekharpur, Mr. Pradimna Kumar Patnaik, PGT Economics, DAV Public School, Kalinganagar, Ms. Farhat Kainar, PGT Economics, DAV Public School, Pukhriput, and Ms. Farziyat Naqvi, PGT Commerce, DM School. Welcome all the teachers to this program.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm also so very delighted to announce that we do have the young and energetic student presenters, Divya Drishna Mahapatra from BCom 5th semester and Vidhan Agarwal from BCom 3rd semester. I must also introduce P. Subham Patra, Shritan Tripathi, Amrit Patnaik, and Divyasha Patnaik, who are the delegate members of this event management team of Team BSA. Welcome, students. Now that the introduction is over, I would like to take the privilege to introduce the DAV School of Business Management through the institute profile.
The ethos of DAV DSA is leading commerce and institutions that imparts BA honors and BCom honors programs. Streams of credit. About the higher education department of Odisha, affiliate Utkal University as its only certified civil learning partner of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants London. This fame strives to nurture the students through its unique pedagogy that comprises 7
There's no problem, Sritam, you can go ahead. We can skip institute profile. We can go ahead. if required on account of technical limitation maybe.
Okay. Now, without further delay, I would like to carry on the session with the presentation of student presenters, followed by knowledge sharing session by honorable experts moderated by Dr. D.N. The very first presentation shall be made by Vidhan Agarwal, who is going to put forward his understanding on impact of COVID-19 on the Indian economy and analysis of agricultural sector. The faculty mentor of this presentation is Mrs. Dashi. Over to you, Vidhan.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
it is visible.
Okay, thank you. A very good morning to all the revered dignitaries and all the others listening out there. I am Vidhan Agarwal and I am connected with you to present my views on my topic, that is impact of COVID-19 on the Indian economy, an analysis of the agricultural sector. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means that the whole world is nothing but a family. And today, it turns out to be truer than ever before. The pandemic has made us realize how much we are all connected to each other and how much we are all dependent upon each other, and that we are only as safe as we take care of each other's safety. Keeping this in perspective, it won't be fair to not look after the workers engaged in the agricultural sector, which, despite providing employment to a majority of workforce in our country, has suffered deeply in this time of despair. Agriculture is the backbone of the Indian economy. It deals with the cultivation and breeding of plants and animals. It provides medicinal plants and other products used to sustain and enhance human life. In India, agriculture contributes about 16.5% of our GDP. It also provides employment to 42.38% of our workforce. India is also the largest producer of pulses, rice, wheat, spices, and other spice products. Let us have a look on the present scenario of agriculture. From the very beginning, agriculture has been contributing a major portion of our national income and our GDP. Although its share has declined gradually with the growth of the other two sectors, which is evident from this graph, it has still remained very high as compared to the developed nations of the world. GVA, as it is represented by this graph, is the value of goods and services produced by a particular industry or a sector or an area in the economy. In this case, it is the agricultural sector. Now let us have a look on the contribution of the agricultural sector towards the GDP of India in INR billion. As you can see in this graph, there is a fluctuating trend in the GDP contribution from the agricultural sector in India, which decreased to 5,306.26 INR billion in the first quarter of 2020 from 6,908.83 INR billion in the last quarter of 2019, possibly due to the outbreak of coronavirus. This table shows the scenario of contribution to the GDP in a country-wise scene. It is a comparative analysis of the contribution to the GDP from the agricultural sector of major countries that have been affected by the spread of the coronavirus before and after the outbreak of the pandemic. As it is observed that there is a common decline in all the countries has been observed, but Italy and China have been majorly affected because the contribution in these countries has significantly declined. Now, let us see the impact of COVID-19 on agriculture from different aspects. The very first thing is about the markets and farm prices. With growing levels of concerns and recommendation for social distancing, reduced travel, lockdown, and other protective practices, consumers will now be making tough choices about food, about eating away from home, and overall spending. This will likely have an effect on the market mechanism and the prices of various products. The next thing is about the disruption in the supply chain. As logistics are disrupted and efforts to slow down the spread of the coronavirus continue, multiple connected industries have also been impacted. As a result of this, the transportation of agricultural products from the place of supply to the place of demand is adversely affected. Moreover, panic buying by some people who tend to buy more than what they require has only added to this problem. The next thing is about the increased burden on the farm workforce. Mass farming, when done on huge hectares of land, requires a huge workforce to be employed. But under the current circumstances, it is highly likely that most of these workers would have lost months and months of work and their livelihood is deeply endangered. The next thing is about the farmer's health. According to the census data, the average age for a farmer is 58 years, which is 10 years older than the workers engaged in the other two sectors. And it has already been proven by researchers and doctors that people in their 50s and 60s are more vulnerable and prone to the coronavirus than the younger masses. Therefore, it won't be wrong to say that the outbreak of the pandemic has created a health hazard, particularly among the farmers. The next thing is the adverse effect of agricultural exports. India's fruit and vegetable exports are likely to decline by 30 to 40% during the ongoing grape and mango season due to the global lockdown that has been implemented to prevent the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. The global lockdown and trade restrictions have forced large scale cancellation of orders. India's fruit and vegetable exports are expected to be hit badly as major import countries, including the Middle East, the China, United States, and the European Union, all continue to struggle with the COVID 19 pandemic. Now, let us look at the mitigating strategy that can be implemented to counter the ongoing scenario. To sustain the demand for agricultural commodities, investment in key logistics must be enhanced. Logistics here is the process of planning, implementing, and controlling procedures for the effective and efficient transportation and storage of goods, including services, from the point of origin to the point of consumption. The small and medium enterprises running with raw materials from the agricultural sector also need special attention. There are many industries like cotton industry, textile industry, paper industry, vegetable oil industry, which need special emphasis in the current situation. Unemployment relief for the jobless agricultural workers and special packages for the engagement of farmers are also some of the strategies that can be implemented. Now, let us look at what the rupees 20 lakh crore relief package, which was recently introduced by the Modi government, holds for this sector. First of all, a fund of rupees 1 lakh crore will be set up immediately to strengthen the farm gate infrastructure. A law will be implemented to bring farmers to access adequate choices to sell their products at fair prices and remove trade barriers. This will ensure mutual benefit both to the farmers and to the consumers. Rupees 500 crores will be set aside for vegetable and fruit supply chains disrupted by the lockdown. This will improve the circulation of agricultural products and essential food commodities among the people. Rupees 5,000 crore special credit facility for agricultural workers and rupees 2 lakh crore concessional credit boost to 2.5 crore farmers through Kisan credit cards. Let us have a look on the road ahead. India is expected to achieve the ambitious goal of doubling the farm income by the year 2022. The agricultural sector in India is expected to generate better momentum in the next few years. India is also expected to be self-sufficient or Atmanirbhar in pulses in the coming few years due to the concentrated efforts of scientists to get early maturing varieties of pulses and the increase in minimum support price. In conclusion, I would just like to say that Being one of the prime sectors of the country and the feeder to one of the fastest growing nations in the world, it is an immediate concern for India to keep its agricultural sector as intact as possible in this time of hardship, because going forward, one can already foresee many challenges that the farmers and the farm builders will have to face when they set out to rebuild their life and livelihood. But with the active implementation of relief schemes and rehabilitation measures as prescribed by the government, maybe slowly but surely things will come back to normal. At last, we can only cling our hopes to the better known phrase, फिर मुस्कुराएगा India. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done.
Elder Vidhan, a very well highlighted by you that the government should follow some mitigating strategy like investment in key logistics must be enhanced, more debt relief schemes that must be introduced to avoid farmers' suicide. And also, thank you for showing a positive hope that Sri Muskraiga India. Now, we shall head towards the next presentation, which shall be made by Divya Mahapatra, who will opine his views on impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy, the role of ICT in accelerating the Indian economy. The faculty mentor of this presentation is Mr. Shubhantu Pekhar Sahu. Over to you, Divya.
Thank you, madam. A very good morning to one and all present here. Respected dignitaries of today's events, principal sir, respected members of the faculty council, and all the viewers of this webinar. My name is Divya Drashta Mahapatra, a student of BCom 5th semester, connected with you all in this webinar to discuss on my topic, the impact of COVID-19 on the Indian economy and analysis of the role of information and communication technology in accelerating the Indian economy. The pandemic that has defined the global health infrastructure and stopped businesses across diverse sectors has left economies face its greatest life since the World War II. In no time, the virus has spread across continents, leading to rapid increment in the number of patients and forcing governments to impose lockdowns to eliminate the exposure of the virus in communities. Now, before we move on, let's have a look at the current situation of the Indian economy. Forecasters estimate the Indian economy to face its worst recession in 40 years. Although the restrictions are slowly being lifted and the economic activities are resuming, the 2-month stringent lockdown has debilitated the economy. Under a complete lockdown of India's $2.8 trillion economy, the nation is estimating to lose over 32,000 crore, which is $4.5 billion every single day during the lockdown. As the Indian government introduced a bailout package of $260 billion, which is 20 lakh crore rupees, the contribution of the information and communication technology would play a bigger role in grasping the opportunities in the process of Indian economic revival. Here's a graph that shows the GDP growth of India in the past few years. It is clearly showing how the economy is and the GDP is continuously being debilitated in the past few years. Let's have a look at the contribution of information and communication technology to the Indian economy. The IT industry increased its contribution to India's GDP from 1.2% in 1998 to 7.7% in 2017. The IT sector in India stood at $177 billion in 2019, witnessing a growth of 6.1% year on year, and is estimated that the size of the industry will grow up to $350 billion in 2025. The combination of technology, data, and talent that makes intelligent system possible has reached critical masses, driving extraordinary growth in AI investments. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is estimated to contribute up to $1 trillion by 2035. The cloud computing market in India is extremely vibrant and dynamic. A recent report said that the deployment of the public cloud computing system can add around 100 billion US dollars to the Indian economy and can generate up to 2.4 lakh direct jobs by the year 2023. Now let's have a look at the Indian ICT giant. The TCS, as we all know, as the Tata Consultancy Group or Services, the market leader, accounting for about 10.1% of India's total IT sector revenue, is the highest contributor in the overall GDP of India. Next comes Infosys, contributing 8.36% of total GDP of India. Cognizant, Wipro, Accenture, and several other IT firms situated in several major cities of India contribute substantially to India's GDP growth. IT has been the prime mover of the service sector in India, which in turn contributes to the extent of 60% of the GDP. Also accounts for 5% of the total exports from India. Global IT companies employ 175,000 workers in the US, accounting for 8.4% of employment in the computer system and related service industry. Here's a graph that shows the revenue of IT industry in the recent years. Moving on, let's have a look at the road ahead. To boost entrepreneurship, government has created an entire ministry dedicated to helping new businesses. Government has taken these initiatives by introducing many schemes to promote entrepreneurship, to promote tech entrepreneurship, through financial and technical support to incubators engaged in supporting ICT startups, primarily engaged in using emerging technologies such as the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain, robotics, etc. The sector that needs the ultimate attention, the BPO sector. In India, business process outsourcing is the fastest growing segment of the ITES, the information technology enabled service industry. Factors such as the economy of scale, business risk mitigation, cost advantage, utilization improvement, and superior outsourcing in India, which started around in the mid-90s, has grown by leaps and bounds. BPO's contribution in the GDP has shown a steady rise from 1.2% to 5.4%. India is now world's favored market for BPO companies among other competitors such as Australia, China, Philippines, and Ireland. The BPO boom in India is credited to cheap labor costs and India's huge talent pool of skilled English-speaking professionals. E-learning. Online education in India has come a long way with the development of technology. India is one of the nations that is developing at an exponential rate in terms of technology. With a population of more than 1.3 billion, the availability of high-speed internet and smartphones, India has the greatest number of technologically driven persons. Online education market in India was worth $247 million in 2016, which is expected to grow about $1.96 billion by 2021. This is a compound annual growth rate of 52%. The number of users enrolled for various online learning courses is estimated to be 1.6 million in 2016, which is again expected to grow about 9.6 million by the end of 2021. It is estimated that there is a 175% increase in the cost of classroom education. This makes online education more preferred, cost-effective platform of learning. The Diksha platform, digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing. Nearly 48% population of India lies between 80 to 40, with aspiration of low income is a target for online education, and the acceptability of online education high among the young demographic. Moving on with e-commerce. The e-commerce has transformed the way business is done in India. The Indian market is expected to grow to 200 billion US dollars by 2026. In the Union Budget 2020-21, the government had allocated rupees 8,000 crore, which is 1.24 billion US dollars to BharatNet project to provide broadband services to 150,000 Gram Panchayats. Since 2014, the government of India has announced various initiatives, namely Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, Skill India, and Innovation Fund. The timely and effective implementation of such programs will likely support the e-commerce growth in the country. The e-commerce industry has directly impacting the micro, small, and medium enterprises, the MSME, in India by providing means of financing, technology, training, and has a favorable cascading effect on other industries as well. Startups. India is gradually moving towards a startup ecosystem. Startup India is an initiative under the flagship of Government of India to build startups and nurture innovation. Through this initiative, the government plans to empower startup ventures to boost entrepreneurship, economic growth, and employment across India. The government's action plan will help accelerate the growth of startups throughout India across all important sectors, especially in the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 cities, including semi-urban and rural areas, and includes promoting entrepreneurship among SC, STs, and women communities as well. To support tech startups, several thematic areas should be focused on, which may consist of simplification and handholding, funding support and incentives, industry, academia, partnership, and incubation. To promote tech entrepreneurship through financial and technical support to incubators engaged in supporting ICT startups, primarily engaged in using emerging technologies such as the Internet of Things, the artificial intelligence, blockchain, robotics, etc. in 7 pre-identified areas of social relevance. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has approved technology incubation and development for entrepreneurs. At the time of conclusion, I would like to say that India is the topmost offshoring destination of IT companies across the world. Having proven its capabilities in delivering both onshore and offshore services to global clients, emerging technologies now offer an entire new gamut of opportunities for top IT firms in India. Export revenue of the industry grew almost at 9% year on year to $135 to $137 billion in financial year 2019. The industry is expected to grow about $350 billion by the year 2035. Let it be the investment coming from Google worth $10 billion, targeting the digital market in India, or the $20 billion investment coming for Reliance Jio. I personally feel the world sees India with immense potential to reach heights in information and technology. With this, I, Divyadrashta Mahapatra, sign off in this webinar. Thank you.
Good job, Divya. Thank you for highlighting the contribution of ICT towards economic development and presenting the important field that could be given ultimate attention by government for economic revival. Now that the presentation from the side of the student presenters have been over, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. D.N. Mishra to moderate the knowledge sharing session, in which we shall get an opportunity to listen to the scholarly opinions of the able experts. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Jayashree Swai, star faculty of economics and the event coordinator of this beautiful webinar, Impact of COVID-19 on Indian Economy. Good morning to all dignified viewers of DSPM Digital Platform 2020. Esteemed Chief Guest, Mr. Ashok Kumar Behera, Guest of Honor, Professor DAV, British University, Honorable President of DSPM, Sri Madan Mohan Panda, Distinguished Principal of Twin City of Odisha, Dr. Panda, coordinator of the DSBM, and my all PGT friends of leading CBSE schools, members of the Faculty Council of DSBM, and my proud students of DSBM. Sir, on behalf of the team DSBM, I extend special welcome to our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Ashok Kumar Behera, Vice President and Head, Corporate Affairs and Legal, IMPA Bhubaneswar, who is having unique profile and having command both in administration and legal proficiency in the various leadership position in the corporate sectors. Sir, I extend warm welcome to you, and team DSBM is wondering for your association in process of time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, sir. I also extend a warm welcome to the eminent educationist, Professor D.ZENB Noar from the British University, who is an eminent academician and expertise in the real-time research work with the association of many institutions in the world. Here, I would like to share happy note in this DSBM digital platform. Professor D.ZENB is actively associated with the DSBM in various knowledge sharing programs. Simultaneously, she has also given opportunity to me and some of my faculties to be associated with the British University in various knowledge sharing programs. Particularly, the DSBM believe on knowledge sharing program. Like we are conducting DSBM Genesis, which is associated with the many institutions. Welcome, Professor D.ZENB, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mishra. I had a good time last year coming to your nice and organized and beautiful institution, DAV College. And I'm happy to be once again, because we can travel, unfortunately, because of the COVID-19, one of the effects of COVID-19, not to coming to India, unfortunately. So I'm just happy to be with you, and I hope that I can come to you soon.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Welcome to Odisha. Welcome to DSBM again.
Thank you.
I also welcome to our esteemed chairman, Sri Madan Mohan Panda, who always inspired the young minds of DSBM to multiply their performance in paced manner. He always focused to concentrate more on skill-oriented activities from the day one, which we are going to get the result of the performance with the students. Sir, I welcome to DSBM digital platform. Honorable Chairman, sir. I also welcome distinguished principal of DAV institution, Madam Ipsita Das, Sri Bipin Kumar Sahu, Niranjan Swai sir, to this DSBM digital platform. Good morning, Ipsita madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Nice to be here again.
Welcome, Bipin sir, to the DSBM digital platform. Welcome, Niranjan sir, also to this DSBM digital platform.
Thank you, sir.
I also welcome all dignified PGTs of leading CBSE schools of Odisha, as mentioned by my colleague Jayashree Swai, to be the part of this international webinar, which is certainly encourage the young minds of DSBM. My dear students of DSBM, in this digital platform, I would like to revisit, I repeat, I would like to revisit 3 mitigation strategy which I have shared in the last DSBM literary webinar on COVID-19, an observation through creativity, which was graced by the Honorable Principal Secretary Revenue and Disasters Management, who spared 1 hour 50 minutes with the students to give her comments. I repeat, the mitigation strategy in the outbreak of COVID-19: A, converting the challenges into opportunities, respond rather to react to the new normal in the outbreak of COVID-19. C, prospective and quality engagement of the students, which is the need of hour. My dear students, today I want to focus on mitigation strategy number C, that is prospective and quality engagement of the students. My dear students, I would like to mention that the team DSBM has already taken initiation from 1st April 2020 in the DSBM digital platform of conducting a number of events such as various webinar, e-webinar, e-panel discussion, e-workshop, online quiz, besides regular online classes from 8:20 to 1 p.m. My dear students, with interaction of all 420 students in GDPI session as per the curriculum of the universities, I find and we are very happy many of the DSBM students has already undertaken many online courses such as the digital marketing, advanced Excel, web designing, quick decision making in order to have value addition with their professional career. Simultaneously, it is a wonderful platform to share that two students of DSBM, Amrit Patnaik and Sritam Tripathi of our institution, has already completed online SIP and awarded certificate from very prestigious audit firm of the world, Deloitte, under the mentorship of our management faculty, Mr. Devabrata Sahu. I repeat, they are able to complete SIP and certificate is awarded, which my friend Mr. Ansuman is already shared to you. We can see the Deloitte is already shared awarded the certificate yesterday. Amrit Patnaik, the technology consulting virtual internship certificate of completion on 23rd, 2020. I'm so happy that our students are able to avail the opportunities from Deloitte organizations. So I mean to say, my dear students, there is a number of opportunities. That is up to you how to utilize. In fact, we are trying to conduct a number of events to empower each and every students. I'm also happy that Sritam Tripathi, being the member of this IT club, you might able to see that he has joined as a panelist. Despite of all this work, both Sritam and Amrit Patnaik is able to do the good piece of work for the institutions and to empowering their career. So this is why I appeal to all young 420 students of DSBM, please encash these opportunities so that you are able to empower your career. Simultaneously, one good news I want to share, which I have also shared in the last literary webinar. In the process of time, as of you know that all leading institutions in the country, they are providing various program, leadership program, management program to the students community. So we thought, even if we have very limited resources, but we have already prepared customized 12 days program that is known as DSBM Professional Competency Program modules, which will be shared to all students community, those are interested, which we are going to start from 6th August 20. So I appeal all my young students to magnify your efforts through prospective and quality engagement for win-win situation of your professional career, even if there is an adverse impact of COVID-19 in the job market, which Mr. Ashok sir might share this information to you. He is the right person to share. So, my dear students, you should come forward to avail each and every opportunity for yourself. This is yours, how to empower your students. Now, I request Honorable Mr. Ashok Kumar to share his valuable thoughts and opinion to the viewers of DSBM digital platform. Over to Mr. Behra, please.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. It's such a privilege that you have invited to be the guest on this occasion, but my interest has been to have some interaction with the young students and the institution, so there is some interface, so I learn also more. My respect to Dr. Zainab, who because of this webinar is able to join from Egypt. That's the beauty of, that's the opportunity. Had it been in physically, probably may not have made it, but then you are in the webinar, and I can sense that's a privilege basically for the students and the faculties. Honorable principals of the DAV schools, I think the 3-4 DAV school principals, Mr. Vipin Saab, Mr. Nejan Panda, and Ms. Ipsita Das, they are here. I also found that a lot of economics professors, faculty members are there. Let me be honest that I am speaking to a fraternity which knows more economics than me, but only difference I'll make that I am more conversant to what is done on the ground than more on the being done, on the policy or teaching fronts. So let me just start up with a small thing. This pandemic has been definitely very disruptive, absolutely disruptive. And if you have to give me a word, they say it's not only disruptive, it has also created a stagflation. When it says disruptive, since I'm talking to the people who are related to the management institute, I say disruption is one of the things that is learned in management. When we are taught in management, we are taught how crisis, conflicts will arise without any notice, and how do you handle that. There is one path we always adopt, having a strategic path based on the history of whatever business you handle, but the other is actually you have to get on to the finding when the conflict happens, the problem happens, the disruption happens, how do you handle it. Am I audible, Dr. Mishra?
Sir. Clearly audible.
Yeah. So that's what I must address to the students and the children particularly, that these are the part of life. That's exactly been taught, irrespective of the learning you may have on tons of courses. The real life situation will push you into somewhere where you'll find this kind of disruption will come, whether it's economic, social, or even personal. So you have to come out of that and find ways into that. Just take, let me tell you how the breakout has been happening. Actually, when it happened in the pandemic breakout in Wuhan, probably we were watching from distancing that everyone does. That everyone says that this calamity will not come to us. So when it broke out in Italy, Spain, Belgium, then spreading to America, we have a little bit of kind of a hold watching and thinking that we are not there. But then the clampdown came. Ajay, you can remember there have been 4 stages of lockdown. Initial lockdown was actually the basic principle on which it went, because whether it's life or livelihood, that's the key question. Obviously, for any government, the life comes first before the livelihood. So immediate clampdown was necessary basically to enhance first the medical facilities, the health facilities. The other front is that hold as much as damage that will not done to the health, though economy may be affected, that the earning would get affected. That's very normal. And that is the time whole on industries, as part of the industry, we also went through a very paranoia situation. I mean, we don't know what to do, whether we'll be able to run, not able to run. Even we didn't have knowledge of the COVID-19, what are the norms that has to be followed. And please remember, industries operate with the manpower, which is thousands of people. It's not the office, which probably you can have more sophisticated, but then a plant operating is very difficult to do that. So that's the difficulty we had on ground. The second phase of lockdown, which happened probably around the 3rd May, I think, sometime. But that is the first time what happened. Government also realized that economic activity has to push it. So that is the time when even plants, continuous process plants which can run, bigger industries were allowed to run. But simultaneously, the guidelines also came. So we were to deal with guidelines as well as for running the plants. But then psychology of the people are very important, and the cautions you have to take to run. I must share this something here, what has happened between 2nd and 3rd. See, by the time 3rd came, in fact, your declarations for all these packages, etc., started coming in. But during 2nd phase itself, all of us, we thought pandemic is something which government should handle. I mean, is unfortunately we went on making general that should be subsidy, that should be concession, that should be deferment, that should be. I mean, we thought that government should bail us out. I mean, I'm talking about from industry, all industries. I'm part of the 4-5 associations. We had meetings, drafted resolutions, sent to secretaries, government ministers. But our mindset was the problem is of government, and we must support it. But that transition did happen when the third lockdown came with the government giving package. I agree, it requires specifically on MSME. But then by that time, industries realized that we have to operate on our own. That's very important on economic activity. And the fourth stage, of course, unlock came. I must share one very interesting discussion the Chief Secretary had with the industry representative before, when we were asked to join on a webinar, basically on an address system on DC, and he told that we have to put COVID care centers. He went on talking about that we must do COVID care center, we must have the facility because government is already stretching their resources. Whatever they have done in audit has been, quite big, but still then not sufficient. And then industries, like first time when looking for subsidies, concession, we must not look to government also for the hospital medical facilities, asked to put COVID care centers. In fact, we are putting on this week, almost all of us will have this. In fact, today I'll be declaring something on that. Due to this deliberation, when he told, that means you have to take care of your own people. It is like we usually have a doctor, you have a pharmacy, not only that, the COVID-19 issue is remain with our employees as well and must be dealt with us who can afford it. The facilities outside must be for the general public, from the people who do not have set up. The same seminar, very interesting, because he told we do expect industries to continue to run because we want industries to run. By that time, the revenue was hitting. And if you have any issues, you think that need to be resolved or need to be supported, we are here to support you so that your industries do not stop. That's a very interesting statement. You see, on one side, he's talking about the life saving and the taking care of health and the COVID-19 situation. The other one is talking about that economic activities must pursue. That's the transition going to happen. It was very nice. It may seem very simple, but fact is that means government or the economic has to run. It has to come back to the force. Otherwise, it will be difficult, more and more difficult to take care. That's somewhat I'll share with you. So all these, the like boys have mentioned about 20 lakh crore, then all that, 10% GDP. I can talk about the GDP which was gone through by shrinkage of 3.1%, blah blah is happening. Please remember, I'm currently part of manufacturing sector, though I work in service sector. The contribution of manufacturing sector remains about 16 to 17%. Unfortunately, that is so in Indian context, whereas in China it is much more. In our case, like I think Mr. Agarwal, who Vidhan presented on agriculture sector, he told 16 to 18% come from 16 to 18%, manufacturing 16 to 17%. This comes from service economy. The service sector is largest in India. Unfortunately, it has gone through a shrinkage. But I must tell you that what has happened, obviously, in May it has gone down somewhere very, very low and as around 12%, whereas in June it has come back to 33%. That's a sign of indication that it's reviving. It's slowly coming back. But when it touches 50%, you know that the growth aspect will come. So those are need to be taken care of. So if you see, I was listening to the voice earlier. You see, the average age what mentioned was the age in the agriculture sector, and in case of average Indian youth, the age is about 30 to 40. So there is a gap between that. What is happening in that case? People away from agriculture, migrating to the services or the manufacturing. That has been tremendously happening. I think COVID-19 is going to teach you one lesson. Go back to farming as well. You will see of many people coming back. I am part of Odisha Corporate Foundation. I have so many entrepreneurs, so many startups in agriculture which I never heard of. So everybody is trying to come back, do something at home, do something organic, do something sensitive, still on. That is going to be one of the key transition that will happen to us, which will be very wonderful. So if you are looking at COVID-19, we are in a kind of a dichotomy, and at one front our has not come down. It's going up and up and still rising. The other economy has come down and is going up. So activities have to go simultaneously up and up. That's the dichotomy. So on one front, you have to be cautious. You have to be maintaining all those guidelines. You have to do one and taking enough precautions. At the same time, we must learn, let the economic activities continue, which is going to be very, very important in our case. I for children, I must tell you, because the numbers and etc. GDP is very difficult for me. I find it. I say economy is actually related to the money. Is the flow of the money. If a child today has not enough money to buy, change his mobile, or probably not the package, or probably taking outside, it is obviously there is a shrinkage that has happened to the family. In fact, the unemployment has gone up to almost 26%. That's a fact. Or everybody who has money has tried to sink it, just holding back the money. Similar to the industry, none of the industry doing any investment or expansion because they don't know what will happen. That's what the trouble comes in. So, like an individual, also you must go back little bit to the whosoever can afford must go back to the consumerism. We must spend little bit. If the money doesn't flow out, it will not go to people who don't have. So it has to happen that way. You cannot hold back entire money. Obviously, I'll not advise to spend on luxuries, but on the basics you can spend. You can come back to that kind of activity because a vendor, a Swiggy operator, a guy operating under vegetable has to survive. So we must push the money back. Similarly, government which has given all those packages, the implementation is going to be very important. Personally, if you ask me, giving all those packages, one is to the talent, to the people who do not have like Kisan credit card, money given to them, that's fine. But if the economy has to grow, it has to grow with a push, not by giving money. Government, the biggest spending that can happen in the infrastructure. If the government can get into the infrastructure, spend like the way they have been spending on national highways, railways, then the money trickle will start flowing back. Hopefully, all this money that is being declared, part of that will find the way. Because offering a loan, offering a money doesn't help. The idea is at this time, everybody is in their own psychological setup also is shrinking, is very conservative. They will not spend. The spending has to start from the government, then it will come out to all of us. Thank you. That's what I can share many instances of experience like we faced, like how the logistics failed when a material got stuck up in Vizag and all that we did face, because there was a policy dichotomy. I mean, in terms of policy confusion, not economic policy confusion, because many times we didn't know what to do, but as we learned, the policy were getting corrected and implemented. So all of us going very big learning curve, and obviously the final solution will be a vaccine. But till that time, we have to adapt, grow, work out, and hopefully, it will be back. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for enlightening the session with the beautiful insights. So I'm sure that our students are able to have this information and can make restructuring of their presentation for the coming webinars. Thank you, Mr. Behra. So may I request the star attraction of today's program, Professor DAV, to share her international perspective thoughts as per her domain area. Madam, please.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Just would like to do a share to the screen. Yes. Clear? The screen is clear? Yes. Hello?
Yes.
Yes. First, I'm repeating again, I'm so happy to be with you. I'm so happy to meet you, Dr. Mishra. I'm happy also to listen to the very informative presentations from your students, Vidhar and Deva. And also thank you so much, Mr. Ashok Behra, for this nice insights about how the government should react and what the community should do. I will give a short presentation, a promise of this, and then I just would like also to add some international insights of what's going on. Of course, you know that for India, there is a loss in the GDP growth, but I see that India is a lucky country because all of us, we know that the IMF had declared in a lot of reports recently that some economies and some countries will witness a negative GDP growth. And also the worldwide GDP growth will be also in negative. So we will say that we are in a lucky country that having this kind of crisis, but we still have some sort of positive GDP growth. it's very normal that we'll have a less GDP growth because we have a very aggressive, what we call external shock coming into our communities. Unfortunately, that Moody's had lessened India's credit rating, and this is very normal because of a lot of problems and a lot of vulnerable issues coming into our communities and coming into our countries, which we are not prepared for. This is India GDP growth. This is your normal trend. It will talk about 8% GDP growth will be less to reach 3%, which is also very normal. And this is happening here in Egypt also. Our expectation that we will achieve a 4% GDP growth, but we had a doubt of this. So all the economies, all the countries around the world experience the same effects. What I would like to say that we have a crisis with 15 million infected around the world. Till today, we have 15 million infected and 632 of death. So we can imagine to what extent it is a very, very big, uncertain, aggressive shock. Unprepared governments, unprepared companies, unprepared institutions. It has been said for India that we will have 40 million people who are maybe they are going to lose their jobs. The unorganized sector, we have it the same here in Egypt, what we call informal sector. One of the things and one of the issues of the coronavirus that it had brought out a lot of challenges to governments. I mean, if the government is doing the normal budgeting, planning, putting plans for education, for health, for industry, for infrastructure, but now the government has to take care of the unorganized sectors and unorganized parts of the society. Why? Because this shock and this external shock had brought a lot of challenges. The unorganized sector or the informal sector means people who have less skills. So now government, they have to work and they have to work like a hell on those people, on these segments of the society. Government has to focus on these segments and to develop these segments, because now having these types of external shocks means that these segments will be going into a trap of poverty. So if we want to lessen the poverty, we want to lessen the gap between social classes, and given that we have an external shocks every once in a while, I would like to tell you a very informative thing that I had read a lot about the crisis and its effects, but some of the economists, they're saying that the crisis started from the war between China and the USA. So now the external shocks is not about COVID-19, it's about what before COVID-19, and maybe it had led to COVID-19. The degree of uncertainty, we don't know till now what was the reason for this. Actually, this was some sort of pandemic, something wrong occurred somewhere in a place in China, in US, whatever. So all of this had brought a high degree of uncertainty. So to what extent our governments and our countries, are we going to see another thing like COVID-19 in future? Because of the trade war between the US and China, maybe other crises will be brought into our world. All of this had coming into the tables of the government and the government officials in our countries. If we talk about also the trust within and between countries, COVID-19 and the crisis of COVID-19, actually it had made some sort of disruption for the supply and for the demand for our communities. It had also made a huge disruption in the economic theory. We had used, and I used to study for years, that it's the global trade, international trade, and then through trade, all the countries are winners. Now, governments are starting to think in a different way, how to sustain growth, how to ensure that we have enough medical supplies, we have enough agriculture, and we have enough food for our societies. We have enough industry. We don't rely, actually, this is one of the debate that we have now. We want to rely on China anymore, what we can do, because relying on one economy, so on one country, and then the collapse of this country means the collapse of our countries. This is a disaster that we cannot sustain. So this is part of the talk, and this is part of the speech also. If we talk about COVID-19 and India, all the economic sectors in India had been affected. If we talk about the primary sectors, agriculture sector, actually the wonderful presentation by Vidhar, who talked about the agriculture and how the agriculture sectors have been affected, and the most affected sectors in the economy, those who contain a lot of population working in this sector. So if I have an agriculture where 42% of the population working in agriculture, so how can I just protect those vulnerable and poor segment of the population? How can I use maybe IT and the development in the digital economy, for example, to sustain agriculture and to sustain the poor? COVID-19 also had brought new ways of thinking. Economies and government has to think differently. We are dealing with what we call, Dr. Mishra, the new normal. So new ideas, new things, new ways of managing business, and also of helping and supporting the poor, because we cannot now leave the poor in our communities anymore, because we have a lot of challenges, and creating or having a crisis out there, we don't know when it will end. We don't know whether we will have it again. We don't know whether we will have it in an aggressive way. So this also creates a lot of stress on us, is to protect our communities. Of course, you have all of the economic sectors in India had been affected, mining, luxury sectors like the automobile industry, textile, because you have a lot of a portion of population working in textile industry. So it's now for the government to think how to react, what they should do, what are the new means. All of this also raises questions. Some of your, of course, sectors have been affected because of the linkage between India and China, and you bring the raw material from China. So it's time now for India to think about, to work on this in India, maybe to lessen the type and the number of raw materials we are getting from China. So now the COVID-19 is doing a revolution for the economists and the way of thinking, that we don't want to depend on trade. We want to ensure that our societies are satisfied in terms of all of their needs. Also tourism, also here in Egypt, we have been affected in the tourism and the service sector. The same that happened in India, the same happened in different countries around the world, but the severity differs from each country, depends on the government reaction of this crisis. Depends on also the linkage of the international community. India also had suffered a lot because India had a strong linkage with the international community. India has a strong linkage with China. This is what made the disaster to that you feel it has a very worse effect. So what are the solutions? What can we do to deal with the new normal? It's the new normal now. We will get used to see disaster maybe every once in a while, a problem. So what the government should do, localization of the economic activities, and this is what actually we are thinking here in Egypt, how to ensure that everything is here in Egypt, and we don't want the external countries. We want to export, but what about importations, and what about the linkage with the outer countries? Survival strategies for governments. Governments now are trying and looking for different strategies for survival for its communities, and especially dealing with the poor and with the poor segments and the most vulnerable segments of the society. And also survival strategies for companies. The companies has to start to think, if there is a certain activity and this activity is not working, so shall I work in a different activity? What shall I do if I don't want to, I can't export to a market? Can I look for alternatives? How can I use a new means of IT, new means of technology, shift to different production means? Instead of importing from China, can I import from Egypt, for example? And I think also it's a new opportunity, a new window for countries like India, like Vietnam, like Egypt, is to try to work on their own, to find the new means, the new technologies. If they can produce from home and also to depend on the raw material from home, this would be better. Organizing the unorganized, we can't as government under any circumstances leave the unorganized, leave the informal, leave those who are in help, because if we are going to leave them now, this means that for the coming shock, external shock, those people, we don't know what is going to happen to them. So government has to work and to work hardly on themselves and put the right policies and to deal with the crisis, to find new means to get revenues, because the crisis, of course, affected the revenues for our country's budgets. So they have to look what they do, how to encourage the different sectors, small and medium enterprises, the microfinance. All of these things are coming into the table, and it has to look at it and has to look at it differently. I talked a lot. I just would like to show you some nice photos of our temples we have in Egypt, and I hope that the crisis will over very soon, so I will be able to come and visit India again. And also, I welcome you all to Egypt. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Zainab, for beautiful insight. And I'm sure that all the viewers have enjoyed of your presentations. And being the moderator of these sessions, I completely agree. We have to develop our capacity building at individual level, and we have to think about the deglobalization when there is a requirement, so that we are able to face all challenges in the present COVID-19 and welcome the new normals. Thank you, Professor Zainab.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I request Honorable President of DSBM. Now I request Honorable Chairman, sir. Now I request President of DSBM, MM Panda, sir, to share his thought among the young students and the present panelists. Over to MM Panda, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. I'm immensely happy that I have been a part of this function, this deliberation rather. Esteemed Chief Guest, Mr. Ashok Kumar Behra, esteemed Guest of Honor, Zainab Nawar, esteemed Principal of the DSBM, principals of other DAV schools who are present today in the webinar, all the staff members of DSBM who have contributed to the success of this webinar, all other teachers, and my dear children. I have been feeling proud to be associated with this institution since its inception. When it was started inside the campus of Unit 8 boys in the DAV school. Over the years, it has grown into a very successful, much sought after college. Its results are simply amazing, and this has all been possible because of the hard work, the dedication, and commitment of Dr. Mishra and his team of colleagues as well as staff. I'm immensely grateful to all of them and profusely thank them. Students also are so very capable of giving such outturn as being motivated by the teachers. I am also giving my blessings to them to be more prosperous in future. Now, the topic of today is the effect of COVID-19 on the Indian economy. There is hardly any doubt the Indian economy has been given a jolt. Why Indian economy? The entire world economy rather has been given a jolt by this pandemic COVID-19. Everybody is struggling to face it and contain it so that the casualties are minimized and the infection rate is reduced. Various restrictions have been imposed, keeping these things in view. The restrictions have resulted in containing the activities of various legitimate activities of industries, agriculture, and even education. The result is that everywhere we have been lagging behind our target, our aim.
Sir, you please continue, sir. Ansuman sir, sir is there in the...
Unfortunately, sir got disconnected.
Okay, okay. So, all right, there might be some technical problem. We will see that very soon sir might be joining. And by this time, I also appreciate particularly Bidhan Agrawal and Divyadra staff for such wonderful presentations in this particular webinar. And we are grateful to have Ashok Behra sir and Professor Jainab to be in this platform to enlightening the young students who are the futures of this nation. You are going to the part of nation building. So simultaneously, I can take the session forward, and by the time our honorable president will be joining, and so that I'll be requesting sir to share any thought to which you want to address simultaneously. So now I'm going ahead with the questionnaire sessions. Now the questionnaire session is open. The first, we have received some questions, in fact, but first we are giving the opportunities to the faculty members of economics to clarify their questions from the Honorable Chief Guest Ashok Behra sir and the guest of honor as per their selection. So first of all, I request the PGT of DM Public School, Phojia Madam, to share your question. Anshuman, Madam, you can unmute and just make video mode on. And as you have joined as a panelist, you can have your question. Phojia Madam, please. You can unmute and make video mode on as you have joined as a panelist. So you can have that facilities.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I just want to know that in this unorganized sector, what can be done for the person who are not skilled to cope with the challenges of COVID-19, and they are suffered a lot because of lockdowns. They are not having sufficient money, and they are not also able to upgrade themselves in order to have cope with the challenges of the society. So I just wanted to know how these persons have to handle their lives to earn their livelihood.
Thank you, Phojia Madam. I think that answer should be the Ashok sir is the eminent resource person over these issues to give the practical solution to this problem. Over to Ashok Behra sir. Simultaneously, I request other PGTs, those who have the question, make your video on and unmute yourself. Ashok Behra, please.
Thank you, ma'am. But I don't know whether I'm very competent to answer that, but let me address the way I answer. You see, irrespective of fact, our unorganized sector employment is one of the highest. Farming sector itself is 46%. And even what is happening for the bigger industries where it is organized, most of the small industries, employment still remains unorganized. You talk about Uriya people who are working in Surat or people who work in construction industry. Construction industry, in fact, contributes about 30%. So you don't find them. So that's a peculiarity. See, we cannot. You have any question, Dr. Misra?
Sir, I think Madan sir is saying something. We'll just pass the information.
Yeah. Please. Let's go. Okay. Put him on,
sir,
please.
President sir, your voice is not audible. Sir, Honorable President sir, your voice is not audible. Ansuman, can you just know as a host whether I think sir is unmuted. Ansuman, please.
No, sir. Actually, sir's audio is not at all connected this time.
Okay. Anyone can give a call to sir, and you can tell sir that after questionnaire session, sir will be having the any point to be addressing. Anyone, please. Anshuman, can you coordinate with chairman, sir?
Surely. We can go ahead with Ashok sir's answer.
Fine, but simultaneously, sir should get the information at our end because sir is addressing there itself.
Yes.
Please do that fast. I request all eminent guests and please panelists, please we'll just within few seconds that will be joining, and Pujya madam will be addressing your questions by Ashok Behra sir.
May I?
Yes, sir. Sir, please.
So, like I said, this is kind of a people who have been working in different industries. They, depending on the factories or the places they work, they develop that. So, like people who are working in Surat, they probably know how to handle the textile aspect or the diamond cutting. About the construction, if you see, it's people who from West Bengal who visit it. So, this is for them is going to be terribly difficult because today they're scared to go out and work anywhere other than their own state, because every state, every city is now behaving differently based on the COVID-19 situation. I draw a small example, like I'm part of project head. Then I have got a massive construction going on which got suspended. Then all of a sudden I have to come back and revive that construction. But then most of the people were from West Bengal. So what happened? Then we cannot bring those people. So we in process we have started taking small lot of people and then trying to help them, groom them. It's a meeting, but the way that we can take care, it will take months before they can be put in. I also see another small example. I tell you, an organized sector. If you are part of the Bhubaneswar city and seen so many vendors working here and there, those small food stalls, etc. When everything stopped, you must have found out mushroom of vegetable vendors. I'm just giving the smallest example. They are the people also the most entrepreneurial and most risk-taking. Only thing capital they don't have. So they people have migrated because they have to survival is the best instinct. But as government has been trying to help that the food scheme that the central government has declared, it will just sustain them. But taking them back into industries is going to be difficult. There are many institutions that come with a skill mapping and skill transfer, but it will take time. Like even today, in my own construction, I am making compromise, having the people from local who are not good enough, but then that's the way going to be. So it's a compromise by the industry, also by the worker, and they will relearn and readapt. That will happen. It is going to be painful, obviously, for them because they are not sitting with money to survive them for months. Hopefully, government schemes will reach them in time to make them survive over this pandemic period.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I request the next question of Dr. Pooja Madam. Dr. Pooja Madam, you are able to hear me? Pooja Madam? Pooja Madam, you have already given one more question in the chat box. Dr. Pooja Madam, Can you unmute yourself and Dr. Pooja madam? Okay. By the time I can just read her question. Pooja madam, are you listening to me?
She just got disconnected.
Okay, fine. Okay, sir, with permission of the chief guest and guest of honor, I would like to read the question of Dr. Pooja, PGT DAV Public School, Chandrasekharpur. Her question is that huge migration took place due to COVID-19 in the rural area. I repeat, huge migration took place due to the COVID-19 in the rural area. They are creating burden in the rural economy for which it is not prepared. So, which type of policy can solve this problem and achieve the Atmanirbhar Bharat? As we are talking about the capacity building at the end of every individual. Sir, this question is open to both the chief guest and guest of honor, Mr. Behra and Professor Zainab. So we are interested to listen your view over this matter. Over to
I'll just start with this. If you remember, this kind of issue has been there with migrant or non-migrant. For engagement of the labor, which are on the low bottom part of the society, you find Manrega schemes, PMRI Yojana, etc., which has been implemented. So that is something which has been created to give people engagement, earning, and a livelihood, which was there as a support from the government. But now what has happened? People who have been wanting to earn more and their ambition levels are more have moved to even different states, different places to work as migrant labor. Their conditions of working may not be very good, but the earning has been better. Now, since they have come back, it's a challenge going to be for those people to adapt. First, they have to understand that they will not earn the same kind of money what they are earning elsewhere in the manufacturing industry. That's going to be the truth. But then, with this situation, I can understand they must be feeling that it's better to earn lesser and than earning more and be unsafe. So, it's for us people, entrepreneur people, this is an opportunity. Adversity in form of adversity with so much manpower available. So it is locally needs to be taken up. I think what will happen probably many of the NGOs, I personally see the NGOs who now get into this area, find which place can offer what kind of system, what kind of entrepreneurial activity, which can engage this. This is going to be important. Like we have been talking about Koraput, Kalahandi, the Haldi, the Tamarind, etc. Is that something can be done? Or we are talking about Barampur South, that probably would do the pickles, papad, all that, is that can be activity. Or you go to Moribhanj or Kevulas, we talk about the forest products. So if you can some small NGOs who can bring in support like the SSGs do. You see, SSG has been very successful in Odisha, as far as I know. So certain kind of SSG small help groups need to be formed so that these people can engage quickly and then have a better life close to their house. I think now open to Madam to answer.
Professor Zainab,
yes.
Please, over to Professor Zainab.
Yes, it's about the migration from rural areas, wherever, to another urban areas. I believe it's a real problem, and what be the solution? Of course, that in India, those people in rural areas already have their jobs and already have their lands. But this type of migration is happening because of COVID-19. Maybe for the government, or if you have a Ministry of Agriculture, that like we have here in Egypt, sometimes we have some people, their jobs are to train people in agricultural lands and in rural areas. I believe that your government have some sort of these types of training. If the government can send people to train people in your rural areas, how to deal with whatever the crisis they do have, if there is some sort of problems occur to their lands, to their agricultural lands, to their crops, how to deal with it. This could be a temporary solution. The other important solution, and I know that you had done it, that Ministry of Finance, you have give a lot of stimulus packages to the farmers, and this will be enough for them. It's a matter of time, and it's a matter also of the awareness. If you have at your TV broadcasting, talking to those people to go back to their lands, to go back to their jobs at farms, and then the government would give them a more support, this would be beneficial also to stop this type of migration.
Fine. Thank you, Professor Zainab. We have received some questions from the students. On account of the constraint of the time, I'll going for one more question only, because some other questions relevant and common as of the migrant laborers. That is one challenges to all the states and also to our countries simultaneously. One question from Deepak Pani. The students of the SBM. I'm just reading the question. As we all know that manufacturing industry contributes almost 20% of Indian GDP, and for the first time, the contemporary manufacturing record says that the demand, supply, and workforce availability have been influenced on account of this pandemics and outbreak of the COVID-19. So, what are the possible mitigation strategy to manage this situation? So, this question again over to Ashok Behera, sir, please.
Yeah, good observation. I must say, manufacturing industry contributes about 16 to 17% of the country's GDP. Let's see what has happened during COVID-19. Essentially, initially there was a shock and there is a closure of many of the facilities. So, a lot of disengagement, and it in fact continues salary cuts and etc. that is happening. But if you see come back now, I'll give you some examples what is happening. The plants which have started operating with because of restriction 50%, the largest setups have come back to 100% now. So those organized manufacturing setups have come back to operation. So now the next question is what is happening with the MSME, which is obviously still continues to be affected because they still have capital constraints, and people may have migrated because they have some skilled people who have moved out. So that is one area which is going to be still a difficult area. But I'm sure that this will come back. The MSMEs will come back on the roll by within 3 months' time. So manufacturing will be back on the roll again within no time, within maximum 3 months' time. The GDP will continue to be around 18%, even not more. I give you an example of what has been happening. How do I say this? This is the power situation. Power is one of the biggest requirement for the industry. Sensing the power consumption, I can say what is happening around. Like when the COVID happened in initial March, April, the demand in Odisha itself came down to 2,400 megawatts. But then over the period, now I find, in fact, today I was looking, it has gone up to 4,000 megawatts. That means the industries have come back on the road. So it is happening across India. It's not that, because I was looking into the power industry and coal consumption, because that kind of a trend set up to industry, how they do it. So manufacturing units will come back. They are taking enough precautions. Initially, they learn they have to adapt to the guidelines, which they needed time to invest. They will have still COVID positive cases, but they know how to isolate and take care. So that will be done. Manufacturing GDP will be back on roll in 3 months' time.
Thank you, Ashok sir. Thank you, Ashok sir, for enlightening these questions. And I just want to announce here in this digital platform, we have received more questions from the students and from the teachers, faculty, and also as this program is broadcasting live on the Facebook, we have received more questions. In fact, due to the constraint of the time, all these questions to be addressed, will be sending the SMS to them, the answer to be forwarded through SMS. Due to the technical, due to the resource constraint and time constraint impact. Now, with the permission of the chief guest, as the chairman is not able to complete his deliberation, so now I request the chairman to complete his deliberation. Over to Madan Mohan Panda sir. Over to Madan Mohan Panda sir.
Thank you. I think I was mentioning about the power and will, force and determination of the people, which is necessary to rebuild whatever damage is caused by this COVID-19, whatever slippage has been caused in the economy, to regain that and rebuild the economy. What is necessary? Determination. Because I have given you the example of Japan and Germany. Those were totally devastated during First World War. But within 15 years, they became leading economies of the world. That is not on account of resources, natural resources. That is on account of the human resources, very powerful human resources, which were fully equipped with determination, commitment, and sincerity. That is what is necessary. You already know that students who are sincere, who are committed, do wonderfully well in life. That is why it is now time when this crisis is over. Each one of us has to remember that his contribution to the national cause will help in bringing back the economy to the road. That is what is necessary. I have already told you, our students have done a wonderful job also. They have properly dissected all issues and they have presented excellent papers. As usual, they have been doing it every time we conduct a seminar or workshop. They do a wonderful job. And I mentioned the school has been doing wonderfully well. Every time getting this gold medal is no joke. And I'm proud to be associated with such an institution. And I'm happy that I have people like Dr. Mishra and other colleagues and supporting the principals of neighboring schools who are supporting us. Thank you very much, all of you. Wish you all the best. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable President, for your valuable thoughts to all of you. I just want to take one quick question, with the permission of the chair. There is one quick question. In fact, one request has come in the chat box. That is one relevant question. This is why I have taken. It's a very relevant question and a contemporary question, I can say, which is the talk of everybody. So with the permission of the chief guest, if I'll get the permission, I can just take one quick question, sir.
Yes,
yes, please go ahead.
Sir, one question raised by Chinmay Chitrangada madam of DAV Public School Unit 8. It is a very relevant question she has raised. For that reason, I took your permission. That basically her question is that, as all of you know that the tourism, there is a complete breakdown in the tourism industries. So her question is that what measures should be initiated by the government so that there can be kickstart and we are able to make the revival of the tourism sector. I think both the eminent panelists, particularly esteemed Mr. Ashok Behera and Professor Zainab, you can have your quick response over this question. Over to Ashok Behera, please.
Yes,
okay,
can I just start?
Yes,
yes. We for the tourism sector and for the international whatever tourists to come to us, we don't know because of the precautions and all of this types of health hazards also coming into our country. So what we had done in Egypt, we started to depend on the Egyptians. Sort of revival for the tourism sector in India is to offer some sort of packages to the Indians in a very good prices, and also to have to give them the proper instructions for their health and for their safety. So maybe for the Indian tourism sector to depend on Indians for the time being more, then after a while there will be some sort of recovery. So also maybe, I don't know, if other students from other Asian countries in Vietnam, if they would like to come to India, this also would be some sort of encouragement of tourism on a very small scale, and also taking care of their health and giving the strong instructions to them because of the COVID-19.
Thank you, Professor Zainab. Quick response of Ashok Behera, sir, please.
Yeah, tourism industry will continue to suffer. I mean, that's very tourism travel continues to suffer. I have personal my own experience. One of my nephew has opened a hotel. He has 200 employees, and today he is not doing zero business. That's But fact is that here the confidence of the people, the traveler, is we can do lot many measures in safety, travel, like you find airlines, people are putting that PPE, etc. But that's not going to be help us, because the confidence of the travelers come back, which is a complete human psychology. It will take time. It will take time. I have no solution, no measures to suggest on this basically. This is open area.
Sir, thank you. So, Guerra sir, for clarifying the issues. I also have the same opinion regarding the tourism, but I'm sure that there will be some solution over these issues in phased manner. There will be good sign to our economy, and it leads to win-win situation that we have to keep the hope against hope. Now I request all the panelists, those who have joined, to make the video mode on, to take a photograph in the virtual platform for record of our e-document. So I request, before I proceed to the proceeding of this event to Jayashree Swai, I appeal to all, particularly the panelists, to make the video mode on, so that we can have the photographs for the e-documentation purpose of consumption of the DSBM social media. I repeat, DSBM social media, and certainly we are going to make a press release of this particular relevant discussion. So I request all my colleagues, just mute their mute and just make video mode on, so that yes, very nice that we are able to see Dr. Pooja Madam and Niranjan Sir and Pooja Madam and the PGT of Pokharipur School. So I request all my colleagues, if possible, that please make the video mode on, if possible, so that our technical events coordinator, Ansuman Mohanty, who is having the passion to make e-document. In fact, he is the professor of soft skill, but all institute profile, what you have seen, and DSBM social media, all these PowerPoints, within fraction of second, he is able to make. As we got request some of my principal colleague to join, so immediately they are able to manage with the help of our IT club. So we can go ahead, Ansuman. I hope now we are able to have around 15 number of panelists with their photograph. So I request Bipin sir, if possible, if you are listening to me, then you can also make your video mode on. Simultaneously, I request the principal of sister concern of SBM, Madam Ipsita Das, if she is listening to me, make the video mode on, so that we can take, including Amrit Patnaik and Pradyumna sir of DAV Public School, Kalinganagar, because please, if possible, make the video mode on, so that we can have a photograph in the digital platform for the e-record. I'm happy to see Ipsita Madam is joining the digital interface from DAV Public School Unit 8. And Amrit Patnaik, again I congratulate to have the certificate of SIP from Deloitte, which is really a good achievement. In fact, today we are working that how another 10 students can do the SIP over this company, and certainly it will empower your career. Even if this is the ideas given by one of my students in Delhi, so that we have started this project. So now, Ansuman, I think your objective is achieved. Mr. Ansuman Mohanty, I hope the person who is managing the DSBM social media, you can see in his background the all photograph of the DSBM, that Bhavyata and his the college gate. He tried to give the test of DSBM in everything. You can see the gate and the college building and the lawn, the conference hall, everything you are able to see. Ansuman, you can take your photograph as per your technical requirement. Within fraction of second, I'm going to hand over the session to our star faculty of economics, Madam Jayashree Swai over this. So over to Joyce Swai. And I'm really thankful to all the teachers, particularly the PGT of the different schools, and all 420 students of DSPM who are joined in the Facebook online, and thousands of the viewers, which I got feedback in my Facebook itself. Thousands of viewers are there. We are really grateful to have your presence in the DSPM digital platform. And I'm sure that in the process of time, we are going to conduct n number of the events exclusively to empower the students community. I also going to repeat that DSPM Competence Professional Program is going to start from 6th August. So anyone is interested, they can write to us. We are going to provide that education, free classes, free lectures to them. So over to Madam Jayashree. Unmute yourself, Jayashree. Jayashree, please unmute yourself.
Thank you so very much, sir. I must mention that all the participants did really get their knowledge nurtured through all the valuable knowledge sharing session where the revered experts and moderator expressed their scholarly opinions on the topic. Change will not come if we wait for some other person for some other time. We are the ones they have been waiting for, and we are the change that we seek. Now it's time to award e-certificates to the presenters and the member of event management team for their dedicated work and contribution. Thus, it is time to e-distribute the e-certificates. I must mention that in a short while, the email containing e-certificates will reach the participants from now. Moving ahead, I would like to state that in Upanishad, it is mentioned, Matru Deva Bhava, Pitru Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava, Atiti Deva Bhava, which means respect mother, father, guru, and guest, as they are all forms of God. We all are indebted to our beloved parents, revered gurus. Thus, how can we cease from bestowing due respect to the guests who have added more value to the festival? Yes, I mean the honorable chief guest and the reverend guest of honors. Thus, I must mention that I would like to showcase the e-Manapatra dedicated to the respected guest on behalf of President and the entire fraternity of Team DSP. May I honor guest to kindly accept this virtual compliment as a token of admiration.
Yes, Sritam. I understood some technical problem is there, Sritam, because the students are joining from their home, maybe from Barampur and Bhanjanagar. Sritam, can you share that Manapatras? Ansuman sir, you can use the backup plan if required. Nice.
Shri Ashok Kumar Behera, Vice President and Head Corporate Affairs and Legal, Indian Metals of Ferro Alloys Ltd. DSPM takes the privilege to admire this delicate emissary of corporate world whose proficiency and meticulousness set him apart as a unique personality. As an expert in corporate affairs, an alluring team leader in the field of corporate, he remains a true source of inspiration. Moving on to the next. Dr. Nowar, an eminent academician, DSPM takes enormous privilege to venerate this distinguished persona who exemplifies assiduousness. Throughout her career, she has not only shared knowledge across her motherland, Egypt, but in various other countries as well. As an eminent academician, she is cherished as a role model. Now that we have reached the concluding part of this webinar, I would like to call Divyasha Pradhan of BCom third semester to give the formal vote of thanks. Thank you.
Divyasa, 1 second. Sorry to just take the session. I just want to mention that the Manapatra, what is being prepared, the hard copy of the Manapatra will be submitted to Honorable Chief Guest and will be sending to Professor Jainab after the lockdown, the period. And I also want to mention also that some of the technical difficulties, particularly the Sritam, they have joined from Bhanjanagar and Barampur, because in the last literary webinar, we have not faced any technical issues. This may be today due to some internet problem that is going to be addressed very soon. Okay, this is for your kind informations. After the lockdown, my colleague will be going to take the Manapatras. I will be giving submitting to Ashok Behera sir and will be dispatching to Professor Jainab. And we are very thankful of your presence, and particularly the students. Those have already e-certificate has already designed, and my office is already forwarded to you. And I congratulate to have more e-certificate to make your career win-win situation. Over to Divyasa Pradhan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
The unthankful heart. Sorry. Okay. Thank you so much. The unthankful heart discovers no mercies, but the thankful heart will find in every hour some heavenly blessings. A very good afternoon to one and all. I am Divyasha Pradhan, a third semester BCom student of this prestigious institution, and I'm glad to get such an enormous opportunity to deliver the all-valuable vote of thanks at such a glorious event. At the onset, I feel privileged to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Ashok Kumar Behera, for his esteemed presence and inspiring words. Thank you, sir. My next heaps of thankfulness is dedicated to our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Nowar, who has joined us all the way from Cairo. Thank you so much, ma'am and sir, for sparing your valuable time and making this event a momentous one with your benign presence. I also encompass the moment to express my profound gratefulness to the President of DSPM, Shri Madan Mohan Panda, for his all-inspiring presence. Gratitude enough, sir, for your constant motivation and support to Team DSPM.
My heartfelt salutation goes to the principal of DSPM, Dr. D.N. Mishra, for being a great source of inspiration and support and giving us a holistic opportunity to showcase our potential, may it be in the field of literature, management, or finance. Thank you, sir. I bestow loads of gratitude to the principal of DAV Public School, Kalinganagar, Shri Bipin Kumar Sahu, principal of DAV Public School Unit 8, Mrs. Ipshita Das, as well as other esteemed invitees for their valuable presence here today. Much gratitude. A very sincere thanks to the event coordinator, Mrs. Jayashree Swai, under whose charismatic leadership the event met such a smooth ending. Thank you, ma'am. I must really thank the mentor of the presenters, Mrs. Sudhanshu Shekhar Sahu, for his guidance and support to the presenters. Thank you, sir. My loads of acknowledgement also goes to the coordinator of DSBM, Dr. Anjali Panda, as well as members of the faculty council and the supporting staff of DSBM for their kind cooperation. Loads of greetings to Vidhan Agarwal and Divyadrasha Mahapatra for their amazingly researched presentations. Thank you. I'm extremely grateful to the people behind the screen. Yes, I mean the event management team comprising of P. Shubham Patro, Shritam Tripathi, and Amrit Patnaik, without whose technical support, this webinar would not have been possible. Thank you so much. Last but not the least, I'm also very thankful to the audience and to the viewers across the world who have joined us live through the digital platform of GSPM on social media sites like Facebook for their valuable participation. Thank you so much, everyone, and please have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Dibyasa. Thank you, all viewers, for being part of this DSPM digital platform. Thank you. Thank you. Special thanks to Ashok sir and Professor Zainab to be part of this digital platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You may close the meeting.
Surely. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.